NASA astronauts are trained to recognize satellites in space, so therefore the objects cannot be satellites, because they wouldn't be able to recognize them. If it was debris from the craft, they would be able to recognize that as well. I think, if you listen very carefully, I think it's NASA's roundabout way of telling the public that these things are unidentifiable and intelligent. And I think you'll find that NASA's not going to come right out and say that they know that these things exist, but he did admit that they are aware of these things on previous missions, so you know, I guess it's as good as it's going to get. And it doesn't matter really, because the public is much more intelligent than we're given credit for, so I think most of us can work out the truth, despite the long-winded way they go about saying it. But it is interesting that they can't explain what these things are, but it's obvious to those of us who have seen these things in the atmosphere and recorded them, and obviously viewed other people's videos and looked at NASA's satellite videos of these things. It's obvious what they are. So, you know, it just would seem so much easier if they just came straight out with it instead of going a long way around it. I mean, it's no good them saying, oh well, you know, we can't explain it at this time, and we have seen them on other missions. I mean, just why don't they just say these are unidentifiable craft, which, you know, everyone knows that they have been observing unidentifiable craft for ages now, and some have even been observed on the moon. So I think it's about time that NASA just, instead of taking a long way around telling us that what we already know, I think they just might as well come out with it and be straight, because, you know, instead of dumbing down the truth, they should just come straight out with it, because they don't give us, as members of the public, the intelligence that we were given. And see, the reason I know that astronauts trained to recognize satellites is when I was in AFJ ROTC, I wanted to become an astronaut, and just studying as a junior cadet, I had to learn to recognize different aircraft. I had to learn the phonetic alphabet, so as an astronaut they would have to be able to recognize the satellite and other anomalous space junk that may be out there, and so therefore anything unidentifiable they would be able to recognize straight away, because they've been trained to recognize other objects in space. I mean, you know, it's I mean, okay, sometimes they have some guidance from ground control if they're too far away from a satellite, but they have learned where these satellites are, and they know how to recognize them, and no doubt these satellites and that junk emits certain signals, and they've learned to pick that as well. So I mean, they like I said, I was just as a junior cadet, I was taught different types of aircraft and that, and how to recognize them, and you know, which I was hoping to get into the become an astronaut. Was one of my dreams. Obviously it wasn't meant to be. Thing is, though, I do enjoy studying the NASA satellite footage and the Mars footage and that, and I mean, it just stands to reason that, you know, they now know they have to tell the public something, but they just don't want to come right straight out with the truth, which surprises me, because I mean, any fool with two eyes who can actually see these objects and look at them can tell you what they are. I mean, you can show them to anybody. you know, you don't have to be an Einstein to see what these things are. I mean, it's obvious what they are. And to dumb down the public and water down, and by saying, oh yes, these we have seen these, but they're unidentifiable, that you might as well just come out with the truth that these craft have been visiting Earth, and people have grown up and are ready for the truth, and they've got to realize that, because I mean, all they got to do is go on the internet and they can see we're mature, we're intelligent, we can accept the truth. And it's no, if they want to keep dumbing it down for us, then more fool them, because we are much smarter than they give us credit for. And to be quite honest, I get a bit cheesed off when I think that NASA officials, especially when they the photos where they sort of spray out, what we call it, airbrush out certain pieces of evidence that they find that they don't want the public to know about because of they're worried about the reaction of the public. I mean, for goodness sake, give us some credit, people. This is the 21st century. We have come a long way since 1947, and if you go on the internet, people, the ordinary population, is coming up with more evidence. So these beings, regardless, are going to reveal themselves whether you want to admit it or not. They will reveal themselves, and they will make themselves known, and they will do it on their agenda and not on yours. So it's time for you to come out of the closet and start being truthful and honest with the public, because all you're doing is treating us like a bunch of school children that aren't old enough or capable enough to accept the truth. Even children of 10 years old and that can accept the truth. So it's about time for you to open up and give us the truth without fumbling around the words.